everyone, and welcome to Bear Clooney Watches channel. I am Bear who loves watches. This is my cave, and on this channel we are enjoying a search for perfect timepiece. Mind you, we never find it, so that search can continue as we all enjoy that search tremendously. Now, occasionally Bear Clooney mixes up the subject and comes up with different video. This is one of those. And this video starts with message to my hater and his little cronies, little fans. So, dear hater, let me start with that I drink coffee and love watches. Yes, I'm not Adrian from Bark and Jack, and I'm certainly not as refined. I'm also not as knowledgeable as, let's say, Archie Luxury. I'm not funny and comedic as him, but you, hater, chose to go after my lack of style. Hey, my shirts are too tight. Imagine that. That's the issue on my channel. And I wear watches too tight on my bracelets or straps. Let me respond. I think my shirts are cool. I love them. They're comfortable on me, and ultimately I don't pay too much attention if they are perfect. But looking at myself now in camera, I can certainly tell you they look good on me. 2. I don't like my mechanical watches, and I have so many more than you, and so many better than you. I don't want them to move. I don't want them to get affected. Their mechanical movement is not something I like to be dingling. And that's probably the reason why I prefer them a little bit tighter on my wrist. But I think what this hater represents is what ultimately is the cancer on YouTube horology community and ultimately on any social media such as Facebook, groups, and so on, cancer called jealousy. Jealousy is strong, my friends, in our community. And ultimately, instead of appreciating people who are trying to contribute, who are working toward popularization of our hobby, and ultimately trying to make it more fun for all of us, spending their own time to put together the content, they should be encouraged. And if you really dislike them, and if you really don't have nice things to say about them, just let them be. Understand one fact: you do have something in common with that person. You both love watches. So if you just despise this person, his channel, his content, his personality, his tight shirts, his ultimately very tight bracelets, hey, let him be. Don't just show how little obnoxious and pathetic you are. It's enough that you are bullying people in your Facebook group. It's enough that you have 2, 3, 4 faces. But you have to actually be that small, that insignificant to comment on my shirts and my tight bracelets. I am definitely impressed with your attention to detail, and ultimately I am honored to get somebody who is relatively known in our community to be my hater. All the best to you, my friend. Now, the second part of this video is actually a favor I want to do for a few of my viewers who were asking me to do a comparison of 3 watches that kind of have the similar appeal let's say, to some people. And I happen to have all three of those in my collection, so I decided to put them together for them so they can kind of look at them and get a better idea. Oh yeah, wristwatch check. On my wrist today is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 39mm. Beautiful watch. My favorite from the last Baselworld. And that watch is one of those three that I will compare. The other two are the Rolex Explorer 39mm, and the third one, the newest one in my collection, I just did the presentation of it on my channel. You can see there. There's a presentation on all three of these watches on my channel. Third one is the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra Golf Green 41.5mm. So, mind you, I personally don't see that Aqua Terra as really part of this trio, but few of my viewers do, and they asked to include it as well. To me, the OP wide dial and Rolex Explorer 39mm are kind of like a yin and yang. They complement each other, they're perfect pairing, and as I have this weird thing about me where I like to pair watches in my collection, I think they really do have something that is what I call common appeal. Anyway, enough yapping. My hater wants to see this as soon as possible, so we're jumping into Bear Clooney Watches Studio, where the lighting is better and we can see these watches in their best light. So we are on our way. Let's go. And here we are at Bear Clooney Watches Studio, doing video as per request from few of my viewers, comparing three watches that for some reason have a certain common things between each other. I happen to have all three of them in my collection, so I think it was an opportunity to put them next to each other, show them from the aesthetics perspective. If you want to know a little more about them, about their movements, about their history, and so on, I do have video on each one of them on my channel. So here we have Omega Aqua Terra Seamaster Golf Edition 41.5mm case. Here we have legendary Explorer. And please, people, stop calling it Explorer 1. It is Explorer. End of story. Explorer 2 is a different watch. A watch with a legendary history, heritage that's unparalleled, a beautiful timepiece considered to be sports, but I don't know. What's sports, what's dress these days is questionable. And then we have OP, or it's Oyster Perpetual 39mm in a white dial, which comes also in a black dial and some quirky, fun, colorful dials, which are not my cup of tea, but this and the black version are certainly a beautiful timepieces. So how do we do this? Well, let's start with the wrist watch check of each one of them. So here we have the OP 39mm with a beautiful white dial. I think the beauty of this watch is in a perfect balance of the dial. In dial itself, which is just gorgeous white, which is not glossy, but it has a very refined texture in it. And then we have a beautiful applications, which are just a sign of luxury when it comes to this timepiece. Bracelet is fully brushed, beautiful bracelet. Some might say it's an entry-level Rolex bracelet. I got news for you. I love it. I think it's a high quality. It's comfortable. Maybe the minus is there's no comfort adjustment. But altogether, this timepiece doesn't have many negatives and not much to complain about. From the new line of watches, this is one that I wholeheartedly recommend. So there is our OP39mm in white dial, which I have a detailed video on. Next on our list here in comparison is the legendary Explorer. You might prefer this clasp, which also has a comfort adjuster right there. So you can make it longer and shorter, depending on what you like. What's there to say about this watch? I mean, it has a legendary dial, it has a very dependable movement, it's been around a long time, heritage is exceptional, aesthetics are wonderful, it's considered to be a sports watch. Frankly, I think this can pass as a dress watch anytime as a result of its aesthetics, its thickness, dial, wonderful timepiece, which in my book nicely complements the white OP. They are yin and yang. They are two wonderful timepieces from Rolex, two different Rolex lines, and they both wear similarly. I would say it does come down to ultimately your personal taste, as you simply are not going to make a mistake choosing either one of those two beautiful watches. They are about the same thickness. Maybe OP39 wears slightly smaller. Maybe Explorer has a certain advantage to those who prefer this kind of bracelet. Maybe Explorer tends to be a little more well known, but you know, those are such a minute differences that it does come down to your personal taste, and ultimately people like me might love both so much that they will simply make them both part of their collection. Now, the Omega Aqua Terra is slightly different. That does give you option of the date, yet they do manage to achieve great dial balance even with the date, which is admirable. It has elements of, in my opinion, of three Rolex watches. It has the elements of Explorer because of this dark, beautiful black dial, which is textured and gorgeous, but also it has that depth as Explorer, and the balance of the dial. Next influence I'm thinking would be a Milgauss, because this watch has exceptional resistance to electromagnetic fields, and quirky, fun second hand. And then because of its nautical theme, I would say that this is definitely with a little bit of influence from Yachtmaster. When I say influence, that's in my mind, people. That's not like Omega sat down and said, hey, let's make a watch that will be influenced by these three timepieces. But this is how I view this timepiece. Now, it is slightly larger, but it wears beautifully. I love the bracelet on this watch. Clasp is cool as hell. I love the whole thing. It is quite luxurious appeal, gleamy, beautiful with white gold indices, with such a warm and a beautifully textured dial, a little bit fun and quirky with that green elements, yet not too thick, not too big, definitely a little more sporty, but type of watch that can certainly play its role as a casual dress watch, as an everyday watch, and so on. So on the rest, all three are impressive. I think OP39mm wears kind of smallest. They are watches of great aesthetics. Let's take a closer look next to each other. You can see what I'm saying when it comes to that Exploresque appeal of of Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now, let's put it next to OP39mm. Yeah, they complement each other so well. Two beautiful watches, people. Now, this as we know, Rolex doesn't display their movements. They have a very plain case back. Nothing new. It's something that remains, and it always will be, most likely. When it comes to this movement, it's a coaxial movement, and it has a display that might be a factor that some make a decision based just on that itself. And it's worthy display. Movement is gorgeous. This is the coaxial caliber 8500, nicely decorated. And you know what? If that's something you enjoy, go for it. That could be the element that makes you decide on this timepiece over the other two. Regardless, I think this kind of gives you a better idea about these three watches. I think each one has its uniqueness, but they have a common elements that appeal to us. I hope this was sufficient to those who asked me to do this comparison. I appreciate you watching my channel, and I suggest you let me know if there is anything else specifically you want me to do for you, my dear friends and viewers. Now we're going back to Bear Clooney's cave. Well, I hope this comparison presentation was helpful to all of you who had interest in seeing these watches next to each other. I simply did not go into technical details and so on, as you have that information on my channel, where I individually present each one of these watches with all its info. So this was more of aesthetics of these three watches next to each other. At the end, I want to send a message to all of you, including my hater. I wish you all the best. All the best to all of you from Bear Clooney.